Oh my god.
So, as you can see, I tried to jump from this hill climb up onto this ledge and I ate shit. But I'm gonna tell you, now I'm watching this back, what I could have done better and how I could have prevented this so you don't make the same mistake that I made. So when you're jumping from a big hill climb like this, you need to give it a blip at the top to get any air, especially if the top of the hill climb isn't that steep. So that's what I did, but I overdid it a little bit, which meant that I ended up on that big nose wheelie that you can see. Now there's a few things you can do here to help correct it. First, you want to shut off the gas because the gas gyro will bring the front wheel up more if you're still accelerating while in the air. And I did that. And the second thing you need to do is get your head far forwards over the front of the handlebars. I didn't do that so well. And the final thing you need to do is hit the rear brake, or you can even hit the gear, down one gear, and that will slow the speed of the rear tire, and that will work as a brake gyro, and that will drop the front end so you don't land on a wheelie or fall off the back of the bike. Now you can see in this video I try and get to the rear brake and I miss it.
Oh my god.
Now I'm going to blame that on borrowing a friend's bike because his rear brake is way too low. Of course it couldn't be my fault. Now if you take a look at my next attempt, this doesn't look as impressive or as cool, but it's a lot smoother and a lot more clean. And that is because I have steady throttle as I take off the hill climb.
Perfect.
And I keep my head forwards in line with the handlebars, which allowed for a lot smoother jump. So that's what you want to do if you're attempting something like this. Now, something people never really talk about is the difference between jumping a hill climb, just an obstacle, or a motocross jump. So most people will know the correct technique to jump a motocross jump because the takeoff is gradual, it tends to be smooth. That means you want to hold steady throttle as you take off, and you don't need to do too much with your body or your acceleration because the bike will do the work. Now this is not so true when it comes to hill climbs or when it comes to obstacles. So if you're jumping an obstacle or a small bump with steady throttle, what will happen is it will kick the bike down and you will land front wheel heavy, or you'll go over the handlebars. So in order to prevent this, you actually need to accelerate when you hit that bump. Now timing is everything, so it's one of those things where you just need to practice it until it becomes perfect. And if you watch my friend Nathan here, he's trying to jump on a small bump, but what happens is he tries to preload the suspension too early. Now, if you're doing a small bump and preloading the suspension can help you and stop you being preloaded over the front if you get the timing correct. Whereas Nathan does it too early, so as he hits the bump, what happens is his suspension is rebounding. So that will have the opposite effect, and you're going to be kicked even harder. And you're probably going to go over the bars or at least kicked onto the front wheel, which is what happens to Nathan. Now I'm going to analyze some of the mistakes that Kevin made when he attempted this motocross jump. As you can see, it wasn't so much about body position and body form that made this jump go so bad. It was a lot more mental. So I think he was afraid of casing the jump. So what he instinctively did was he pulled to the left, almost to jump off the side of the jump to try and not case it. But this actually resulted in a harsher landing and nearly caused a crash. He would have been better to case it straight on. And in that case, he would be very unlikely to crash. So in situations like this, sometimes the mental game is even more important than the technique. To illustrate my point, here's Kevin's next attempt where he hits the jump straight, he cases it even worse, but he doesn't nearly crash. Another style of jumping that I really want to talk about is preloading and bunny hopping over big holes and big bumps. Not many people talk about this style of jumping, but I think it's absolutely crucial to have in your back pocket, especially if you ride dual sport motorbikes. So if you're riding a WR155, an XR150, a CRF 300, any of these bikes, even a DRZ, the suspension can't handle big holes and big bumps, especially at speed. So something you can do is you can load the suspension, make your feet a little bit lighter, and that allows the bike to get a tiny bit of air, and that stops you bottoming out the suspension. Now this can make a massive difference if you get the timing correct. So the way you do this is you bounce on your heels, that loads the suspension, and as the suspension is rebounding, you accelerate. And that bit of acceleration kind of lifts the front wheel over, and as you lighten your weight off the bike, it allows for both wheels to propel into the air. So this makes the bumps and the holes feel so much smoother. And when you get the hang of it, you can just time it perfectly and make for a really smooth ride. Thank you for watching my video about jumping. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video on screen now. Thank you.